All right, so what is fuel? I gave some examples in the last video there. The motive, but I thought we'd expand on it a little bit more and get into it from the quasi-paranormal investigator perspective, vantage point, and way of looking at it. Because arguably, fuel is considerably more than the attention and adulation, or what's the opposite of adulation? Being all conflictoratory about the zombie, the narcissist. But they're all about that too. Get them all riled up with the fighting and everything. It's part of the problem of their Faustian bargain of a developmental coping mechanism is bizarrely in not feeling anything or not feeling much of anything. And they go into this kind of state, especially that's called being a secondary psychopathy. Well, as it turns out, their bodies, if you will, nervous systems desperately need feelings and so forth. So instead of experiencing their own, it metastasizes into this necrotic operating system, the zombie operating system. And it needs to feed on the blood of the living, if you will. Metaphorically speaking, the blood of the living being energy, your life force, your steam. And they can extract this from you in a myriad of convoluted ways. Hey. And entanglements, because they've got to keep you tracked in there. There's one element to the whole zombie operating system. It's like, looking at it from kind of a little bit of an extra vantage point there. It's like this atmospheric leech field. Something just draining you at all times with this static vibration running through it at all times. And if you get entangled with one of these types in any kind of living situation, Jesus fucking Christ, it's one thing I call the Sarlacc pit.
In its belly, you will learn a new definition of pain and suffering, while you are slowly digested over 1,000 years.
Yeah, something like that. Not too far off. You feel you're trapped in their convoluted fucking interpersonal racketeering systems. And it could be any number of things. That's usually how they get you. It's like an all-out assault on your nervous system. Anything it can possibly do to keep you locked into its fucking game, it's going to do it. And I mean anything and everything. It's a perversion of your empathy, your compassion, your dedication, your devotion, your well-being, your desire and need and or want to do the right thing. And they couldn't be bothered with anything like this. However you feel about it is inconsequential to the zombie, and they don't seem to believe in feelings either. I mean, they believe in their own. That's of the utmost importance. They don't typically tend to talk about it like that, but, that's what the whole walking on eggshells thing is all about. You don't want to set off the zombie. And you're really in for it. And, I get a little bit roasty with, talking a little smack talk about the cluster bees. And that might ruffle some people's feathers out there, but let us not remember what the fuck we're talking about here, folks. Record scratch. That is, let us not forget, not let us not remember. Okay, back to business here. And if you need a reminder, why don't you check out my video called Narcissist Zombies Can't or Won't Experience Love? Yeah, there's some content in there as a gentle reminder of exactly who and or what we're talking about here. Now, a zombie that's being resurrected genuinely or a resurrected zombie, well, that's a completely different story. As borderlines, for example, can recover. Do check out the work of A.J. Mahari for some backup on that. Very interesting things that she has to say about all this. But anyway, until or unless anything like that happens, you're dealing with this fucking zombie operating system. Regardless of the human being that's trapped in there, whatever the case may be, whatever they mean to do or whatever, if they're still burying their heads in the sand about it, well, you're going to keep getting devoured. Atmospherically, energetically, whatever, what have you. Whatever your preferred terminology to understand. To acknowledge it. What's happening. And frankly, one of the things I've found to be very productive in helping with disentangling with some of this, especially if you still had to deal with any of them, or you're getting disentangled. In my case, there's one in particular, Swamp Thing. Oh, we've got a case file about him to be getting into soon enough. And by the way, sorry about all the panting and the finagling, folks. That's the dog. She came out from her sunbathing thing and it's being all gross and hot right now, so. You doing all right over there? She can't even hear me. She's in the zone. Anyway, I found this to be particularly effective, this, taking the piss out of them, because there's one thing, you're not going up to zombies and saying this kind of shit to them, but it's like a good thing to know and understand, because now whenever I hear Swamp Thing storming around or comes up yammering on to me about whatever, all I'm seeing now is this fucking blabbering idiot just yammering on. And it's helpful. It helps to not get sucked into his crap and his zombie operating system and his leech field and his own version of zombie black magic. Swamp Thing, by the way, is more along the lines of what you would call the covert or vulnerable so-called narcissist. Some people argue that they can be a lot more dangerous than the more overt ones. I guess it depends on what you're dealing with. Of course, then you have the Lovecraftian combinations of the in-betweens. More like Cronenbergian concoctions of the in-betweens. But, yeah, it's helpful. And there's a lot of fucking work you have to do to disentangle from all the crap that they have done. Just by default, they're unconscious operating systems. And the thing is, if they're just going to keep their heads buried in the sand or up their asses, or whatever the case may be, well, then they can't do anything about it. If you can't accept what's happening within you, it's not going to begin to transform. And I understand that it's going to suck for zombies, big time, when and if they start doing that. It's like life itself. The Environomicon, if you will, has been banging on their doors for a long time, saying, hey, wake up. You're not doing your job. And it's time to pay the piper. Nothing quite that dramatic, but it's kind of like, it's like Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean. Why does he look like this octopus guy? Because he's not doing his fucking job. He's all hung up on some bullshit that he's not learning how to process or deal with. He's going around projecting all his problems and roping other people into his problems on this fucking boat, this racket that he's got going on. They fear death, Jack Sparrow. Do you? I mean, is that what's going on here in parts? Fearing some kind of ego death or something? Some kind of transformative process? To get you back on track, doing your job, which would be very fulfilling to you, by the way, because it's part of your fucking program, your paradigm, your genomic expression. Hey, Davey? But no, you decided to go out like a fucking lunatic, and in a maelstrom, and only at some brief hallelujah moment of clarity before falling into the abyss. Calypso. Yeah, everything you were suppressing. Those hard feelings you didn't want to deal with. And what did you turn into instead? A fucking nightmare. Apparently he got his feathers all ruffled over Calypso, his love interest, which is a god, by the way. You know, quite a force of nature. And apparently they're supposed to meet up every 10 years or something to have a night of sordid debauchery on their own little island. And, you know, oh, fuck me, she didn't show up. And that really upset him. And apparently enough to turn into this. And get all this fucking carnage going on. Not to mention everybody he was fucking over by not doing his job. Countless souls lost in the in-between because Davy's job is to ferry the souls of the dead to the other world, to the other side. This is kind of a big deal. He's not doing his job. And, you know, he confronts Calypso about this a little later on, and she's like, well, I didn't mean anything by it. I love you. You're my guy. I fucking love you. But, you know, I'm a force of nature, dude. I'm sorry. It's, you know, would you love me if I was anything different? You know? If I was under your control or something? Now, granted, you know, it's kind of shitty that she didn't show up there, but, you know, in the grand scheme of things, they probably could have talked about it, you know, hashed it out. She's like, yeah, okay, sorry, you know, I got caught up whirling around being a storm and like a bazillion crabs or something, and I'm sorry, Davey, I was having a good time. I was caught up in the moment, you know? Sorry, I love you. You love my life. Really. And you're a person, and I'm a god, so that's kind of a big deal. You understand? Well, I guess Davy's kind of like a demigod or something in this strange Pirates of the Caribbean thing, but he's important. He's very important. He's an important guy. He's got a lot of magic going on. A lot of magic. That's why it's so important that he does his job. Because if he doesn't, look at the fucking carnage and catastrophe it makes. Just by him not doing it. Not to mention everything he's doing instead. Getting his own necrotic life cycle going on there. And going down into the dungeon in his fucking boat and playing that pipe organ, just losing his shit. Rage. So uncivilized. That's why it's good to use your words. Learn how to communicate. Learn those languages of expression and the unconscious and everything like that. Muy importante. Big time. Cleaning up those necrotic systems. Untangling them. Resurrecting your human being operating systems. And zombies seem to have this instinctual paralysis like fear. Running from karma, if you will. And karma is not something that is strictly rewarding or punitive. It doesn't really, it's not exactly like that. It's more of like a course-correcting thing. It's a teaching tool. Or something. It's like banging on the doors and yeah, they've got it coming. It's not to say necessarily that like a bunch of bad shit's gonna inform externally, but it's like, there used to be these stories I would read when I was a kid, well, kind of a kid, I guess, about shamanic experiences that these tribes would have in the Amazon. And this reoccurring kind of theme of when they do their ayahuasca hoodoo-woo thing, and they'd have this experience of being absolutely eviscerated by these like really horrible looking, you know, demon fairy things or something, and just getting ripped to shreds. From the inside out. Terrifying. But then they're put back together. Reconfigured, cleaned out. You could say these things I've been gunning for the narcs, the zombie operating system enthusiasts. So they gotta hide. Well, they don't have to, but they're doing it. Using other people, empathic types, as their karmic filter organs, their emotional filter organs, their fuel supplies. Instead of undergoing something akin to that process. Yeah, it's probably going to be fucking terrible, especially if you've been kicking that can down the road for a long time. Yeah, it's probably not going to be very fun at all. But you've had it coming, and it's not just to fuck you over. It's a course correction. It's a balancing of the scales. If they don't do this, they just keep experiencing tower moments over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. The same fucking bullshit. Existing in a perpetual state of pain, suffering, and misery while addicted to this whole racket, the fuel thing. Getting fuel, extracting it from other people. Anyway, that is a bit more about fuel. I suppose we could go on a bit more, but I probably will in another video, but yeah, this one kind of took a little bit of a different direction, but still, no, we're good. I think that's nice and mimetic or something. But anyway, I think we might go ahead and nip it in the bud for now. Speaking of zombies, it just goes tearing through the swamp. There's old Swamp Thing. And his big truck. Swamp Thing loves big, loud machines and aggressive machinery and loud noises and storming around. It loves to take out its frustrations on the topography. That's what's bizarre about Swamp Thing. He's got a big-time zombie operating system, but it's almost like it's somehow bizarrely integrated with nature, kind of, but not really, because he hates nature and doesn't understand it, but thinks he's in love with it while he's forcing it to conform to his despotic will or something. It's fucking bananas. So yeah, it's kind of how he gets his supply, his fuel, and then occasional yammerings to his weird friends or whatever, and anybody else will pay him any fucking mind. And heavily invested in making sure he looks like a big hero to the outside world. Oh, compassionate, caring. Oh, I'm so compassionate. I'm doing the right thing, going out helping people. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. Know what you're like behind closed doors. Fucking animal. Like a monster, frankly. Sorry to say, but what are we talking about here? But anyway, I think that's about it for this one. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Crack my head, natural jungle, make me dead. And I see red, 100 bucks to black and white. War horse, warhead, fuck a man, white knuckle tight. Black and white. Burn. Fuel is pumping engines, burning hard, you set free. And I burn, turning my direction, going schmuckers with gasoline. So give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Yeah.